Yeah, hi.
Hello, Sai. How are you doing? How are you doing?
Uh, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad, thanks. Um, how how's India?
India is still trying to find solutions for COVID.
Right. Well, we've got new problems in the UK today. It started snowing, so, so now we'll probably be ground to a halt because we can't move because of the snow.
Okay, it's snowing there.
Yeah,
Okay, so how are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm very
So
good. Are
so
you all
I
right,
thought,
Sai?
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, I'm good too. Actually, I thought to introduce you to my audience.
Okay.
So
Um,
yeah,
I
can you introduce yourself to my
I will
audience?
indeed. Ted James, podcaster, some of the time. And Yeah, I've been doing a podcast called The Tuesday Show, which has had a bit of a slowdown, let's say, because of COVID, and because of other bits and pieces of life getting in the way. But that's going to change, and that's going to be coming back into um, onto the internet basically soon, hopefully.
It's not yet published.
It is. Well, I mean, there's plenty of episodes already out there, but when we got to the beginning of this year, we basically never got started again. So I started off with the show. Started again this year, doing the show solo. Just a couple of shows. Just as we went into the lockdown in the UK, which to give you an idea, I think that was about March, April time. So there were a couple of shows that were put out then, and then everything just got a little bit too busy. So unfortunately, it took a bit of a backseat. But hopefully, it's going to be pushed forwards to the front seat. So hopefully, you'll be seeing or hearing something coming out very soon.
So the Tuesday show means people who listens to your show have to listen only on Tuesday, or the audio clips comes only on Tuesday.
Okay, well, the simple explanation is it's just a name. Okay, the originally the idea was to call it the Tuesday show and then put it out on a different day from Tuesday, just because we thought that was going to be quite funny, but it didn't really make much sense. So in the end, it was a show that was coming out on a Tuesday, um, but um, but except for when it was late, and it was often late coming out. So, um, but people can listen whenever they like. But obviously, they can listen on a Tuesday if they like. All the shows that have been done are still there. So there's a couple of years worth of podcasts on Spotify and all the usual places. So they're there, in perpetuity. So um, feel free to listen to them on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or whenever you like.
What is it about?
Effectively, there was the two parts to the podcast. It was a bit of chat. So some of it was a little bit nonsense, but just chewing the fat, sort of talking about what's happening from day to day. Nothing too interesting, certainly nothing in depth. Um, and the other part was really quite fun. It was playing music which was submitted by new bands and unsigned bands, musicians from, I was going to say all over the country, but actually all over the world, because we had, or I still get submissions, music sent over from as far away for us as Australia. Um, Quite a few from the states and basically everywhere in between. So we do have quite a multicultural um, selection of music, but it's all good stuff. and we also have quite a range of listeners. At the last count, it was 59 different countries. Um,
Okay.
now, I mean, it's possible that some people have clicked on it by accident. So, I'm willing to accept that. But it's nice to know that 59 countries have had to listen. I mean, have listened to the Tuesday show.
When did you start this show?
The beginning of 2018, but it's it's still been a bit of a slow burn. It's not very easy when you've got perhaps a day job and other bits and pieces and other things in life to get on with, to actually put something together like that and to keep the continuity, to make sure that you're putting something out every week. Um, Especially when a lot of the show needed a fair amount of editing. So if you're listening to a podcast that lasts for maybe half an hour, three-quarters of an hour, that will probably be listened to at least 3 or 4 times whilst it's being edited, just to go through, take out all the bits that were rubbish, and then you're left with about 10% of it. But when that was put together, that could easily take a day, or rather a night, depending on what time you've got, to actually put it together. Um, but yes, so effectively 2 years, 2 years worth.
Okay, 2 years old.
Mhm.
So chatting means what kind of questions that you ask, and who are the people who comes to your show?
So the show, because of the format that it was in, it meant that there was myself and another host, and we'd just chat away. But also we'd have the occasional interview. So there were some interviews that were done on out on the road. So we go out and see people. There were a few of those, but also we had a lot of interviews that were done um, on the telephone. Okay, so using things like Skype, and just plain old what's it called, WhatsApp and telephone and whatnot. Especially when it's Australia, because we can't fly around just for a 10 minute interview. So there was a lot of that. So there were quite a few interviews with musicians, singers, and what have you. So what we normally do is try and base an episode around that person's music and do an interview with them. So it'd be quite short and sharp because we're finding out what they're doing, what they've done before. Sometimes it's a repeat guest.
Okay.
So we're just having a bit of a catch up on what we've done last time, or maybe we've been out and seen them, and so on and so forth. And there's lots of really interesting guys out there who are producing music that perhaps don't get to the forefront. They're not the first choice on Spotify yet, and who's going to record stores. It makes it very difficult sometimes. But at the same time, having podcasts and having home recording studios and things like this allows these up and coming musicians to be able to get their music out, which is really good.
So you are providing a platform for the people who are unable to reach more audience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we may not have a particularly big audience anyway, but every little helps. So, how many listens, how many views we get, it can vary. Sometimes it can vary on the title that we give to the podcast. I'm sure you probably experienced that with the YouTube channel. Sometimes it can be a title that captures the imagination and people want to know more. How long have you been doing your YouTube channel?
Roughly 4 months.
4 months.
Yeah, four
Crikey.
months.
How many videos have you got now? Because I've seen an awful lot.
How many you expect?
Oh, I don't know. In a few months, I don't know, 250, something like that.
5 times more than that.
Wow, wow.
250 plus. Yeah.
So
Just
how
now
often
I
do
did. Just
you?
now I completed
Yeah.
a video with a United States writer.
Oh yeah. Oh,
So
was
yeah,
that the Navy guy?
yeah, Navy. Yesterday
Yeah, yeah. I've already watched it.
you watched it. Okay, how was
Yeah.
that?
No, it's really good, really good. So what so four. Sorry, I'm turning interviewer here, but 4 months. So what made you start that? Because I know that when it came to the podcast, it was all about, well, it's finding an outlet, it's finding something creative to do.
Correct.
Um, so Sai, for you, what made you start?
I was actually more into human psychology. I actually completed masters in software engineering,
Hmm.
but I don't want to uh, be in that. So I decided to do something which is connected with connections. So I
Yeah.
decided to connect the entire world, and I decided to connect with the entire people who are living in different parts of this planet. So
Hmm.
let's try. Why can't we try talking with the people who are working in different professions and ask the questions related to their profession, and
Yeah.
try to show uh, to the people who are living here. And now slowly, I never thought that I will do uh, videos with more than 80 country people. So I never imagined also. I requested a lot of people, my friends in the beginning who are Indians and who
Hmm.
studied with me. Everybody rejected it. But today, I think they got the answer. They are watching me talking with 250 country people. Now I'm not going to give them chance to be in my show.
Yeah. No, you've had you. I've certainly. I mean, I've just watched a small amount so far, but you've certainly got some fascinating guests on there.
So I think you are doing the same thing, but you are using only their voices, the voice to the expression. You are showing their expression through their voice, which is like very which creates a lot of impact. For the listeners who are more into the audio.
Yeah, I mean, it can be very powerful, and it's interesting because it's not the sort of thing. I think I've heard a lot of people say this, and it's the fact that I think the world's been taken by surprise really by podcasting. It seems like a really, well, kind of, it's a bit of an old-fashioned idea. When everything's so visual. I mean, social media. Most social media now, certainly anything that's impactful, is video. So you've got the video, but now we've got the advent of the podcast. Now some podcasts are on YouTube as well, so there's a visual element. But again, people can listen wherever they are, well, wherever they are in the world, but whatever they're doing. And it has taken people by surprise because you wouldn't expect that people would be interested in that kind of thing, that kind of like long form content. Who's going to listen to something for a whole hour? Who's going to
Correct.
listen to two people chatting away for an hour or more, or whatever it may be? It's not the sort of thing that you would expect, especially when everything's so fast moving. Quick videos. We'll watch something for about 30 seconds, then we move on. When we're watching TV, even television programs. If you're watching the documentary, you've got quick camera angles, and they're always changing, swapping, something new, because the idea is that people don't have a very good attention span. Yet,
Correct.
actually, we can sit down and we can listen to people, rambling. Well, I mean, I ramble on, but we can listen to people talking for a very long time and get something out of it, which is great.
Yeah. And actually, the podcast is also spreading all around the world because even in South India, I belong to South India. So
Mm.
even the because of this lockdown, because of this pandemic, the South Indian directors, movie directors, started podcast their own podcast in the regional languages.
Yeah.
So so a lot of channels, even the English channels, the audio channels on Spotify, people are listening here, and I'm sure through this video, Indian people will know about your podcast too, and the content that you produce in your podcast through your
Hmm.
podcast. Yeah, they will connect. If different people connects with different content,
Yeah.
so obviously what you are doing is like chatting with different country people and asking them the questions, and uh, obviously that will be interesting.
Hmm.
That and you are doing it, and you are telling about the music lovers will definitely connect with the content.
Well, I mean, the good thing about music is it crosses all borders, doesn't it? Everybody likes music. We've got music in every country, and there's lots of variety out there, and everybody's got a different take on things. I'd say that well, not selfishly, it's just the way that it's worked out. But obviously, it's a lot easier. Say, for example, for me, because I don't have to have any kind of language skills because you know you can listen to you can listen to my podcast. People on the other side of the world can listen to the podcast, just because English is just so much a prominent language, which is great. Yeah, we probably managed to sort of corner a larger proportion, but it's fantastic to see people from all around, as you say, connecting. And it's a nice idea to connect people. You know, um, even idiots like me who it takes me about an hour to get Skype to work, like this evening.
So what made you to start the Tuesdays podcast?
Well, really, it was. But it stemmed from a conversation that I had with my co-host, who and he's now doing some other podcasts.
Okay, you have another host too.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to do the Tuesday show solo now. But my co-host is CJ Brooks. And yeah, so almost well, most of the episodes are him and me as the main hosts. And CJ's then got another couple of podcasts that he does as well. So there's one called The Order of the Odd Fellows, which you can find on social media, and the other one's called Petty Rage, where perhaps he talks about some of the things that irritate people, and I'm sure a lot of those are worldwide. Um, but yeah, so there were two of us to start off with, and actually, what we did, we just sat having a drink, and we were talking about, hey, I'd quite like to do something like this. I think the idea was, hey, do you know what? It'd be quite nice to do something on the radio. Well, hang on, what can we actually do? What's available to people that perhaps don't have the experience, or perhaps don't have the technical know-how. Um, so yeah, it basically stemmed from that. Um, by the end of the evening, chatting away, we decided that we wanted to do a podcast. Then, some, well, maybe about 6 months later, we finally did it. But it took a lot, it took a fair amount of planning to work out exactly what we needed and how we were going to do it, and so on and so forth. So it's been quite a long process, but it's been something where you're constantly learning and constantly learning new things, and it's great because you can do something like this. You can put something together. You end up doing all sorts of audio editing. End up doing video editing because you're putting out things on social media, so that does involve video as well, and you're constantly learning new skills. Now, in my day job, I work in public relations, so there's a lot of crossover there. So, I use a lot of the skills that I use at work, and vice versa. So it's really good, and it's also some it's podcasting, creating videos, YouTube is the sort of thing that can help people to get into that field, in a professional setting. Now, obviously, with YouTube, particularly, I know podcasts can't, but with YouTube, then it can become monetarized, and it can become something that is, somebody's bread and butter, and that's it's great to see. It's great to see people with new channels, with new podcasts, actually creating something and building something up from scratch and learning as they go.
So how many shows you did in these 2 years?
Right. So in the 2 years, now bearing in mind this was supposed to be a weekly show, I think we got about 40, 50, something like that. Okay. So, sometimes it was sometimes it was a couple of weeks before the show came out. And then we'd have a kind of a bit of a break. So we'd have a break for a few months, recharge, go back, have do a Christmas special, get energized for the next year. So there's a fair few out there. Some of them are quite long, so some of them could be like an hour and a half or something like that. But there's plenty out there. There's plenty of great music in there as well. So I would encourage people to listen again, go back to the old stuff, and listen to that. They can fast forward through all the bits where we're chatting and just listen to the music if they like.
So music, what kind of music that you promote through your channel?
So I don't want to say we would play anything, but pretty much everything that was sent to us was of a really good quality. I mean, we got lots of independent singer songwriters.
Wow.
We got quite a few electronica type music, so kind of an 80s vibe, which is kind of cool, and a whole assortment like pop and rock, and really interesting stuff like funky stuff, do you know what? We got so much. We ended up doing extra shows, which were just like we actually called it a music marathon. So basically, we were basically just like a radio show. It was track after track, and we were just firing it out because it's there's nothing that we want to not put out there, and it's really good because certainly with the music. The good news with that is that when we put out a show, every time that we put out a show, there's music in there from 2 or 3 bands or 2 or 3 artists, and they pick up the social media, they spread it to their followers, and it gets around. So people who are interested in one type of music will end up hearing another, and they'll pick other things up. So yeah, it's really really exciting from that point of view.
What is the approximate length of the audio clip?
Well, they kind of varied, but so usually anything between between half an hour and an hour. So that was kind of the average. It really depended on whether we rambled on or how many tracks we were playing, or or if we recorded a load of rubbish and decided to cut a lot of it out.
So you edit for yourself?
Yeah, so probably one of the large parts of it for me was for the editing. So I would spend quite a few hours, and still spend quite a few hours putting together the whole show. Sometimes taking the component parts, because sometimes like a radio show. If we're playing a lot of music, then we will just play it in as we record. Sometimes it's a lot easier to do the show and then put the music in later. Um, it's also a lot quicker that way. Um, but yeah, so it did vary, but generally speaking, once you get onto a roll, it could take maybe 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours to put together an hour long show or up to an hour's show.
So, what is the response that you got for the first clip that you uploaded, and
So
what was your feeling?
Um, the response for the first ever episode, the response was good. But then, how much of that is people just being polite? We don't know. But no, it was good. It was. We tried very, very hard. There was a lot of work that went into that. A lot of work that went into the editing. Because the one thing is, and you'll know this as well, that you've got a YouTube channel. People will listen to the latest, which is the,
Correct.
the last one that you did. You're getting slicker and slicker all the time. Okay, your questions are getting more, better and better, and your answers, so on and so forth. So when people then think, oh, this guy's great, I'm gonna look at his first video, okay, and the first one might not flow quite so well. So what we
Correct.
wanted to do was make sure that the first one was, going to be as good as later on. Obviously, it wasn't, but we put a lot of work into that, um, and we actually made sure that we had like 5 shows already and done. So that caused a big delay because we had to make sure that we had those ready, so then we could just fire them out. So there's a lot of preparation that went into it. But do you know what? I'm talking about all this preparation. I'm talking about all the editing. But you know what? The really good thing about certainly long form podcasts, YouTube videos, and all of this stuff that's being done um, by individuals and small concerns. The good thing about it is um, it's available, and it's available to anyone because of the internet. It's available, and the equipment people can do videos and podcasts using a smartphone. Things are so much easier now, and it just allows people to get on and do it. And the one I mean, I don't know, you probably got things that you would say to somebody starting a YouTube channel. But certainly what I would say to anybody trying to start a podcast of any description would be, just go out and do it. Just go and record something, put it out there, start, because that's the easiest way of doing anything, and that's just to get on and do it and start it.
You
You always
mentioned about yeah, go on.
go on.
Yeah, you mentioned about Australian musicians, and you
Mm,
said that you are putting them into your show. So
yep.
tell me about that. Only Australians or any
Anywhere.
musician?
Anywhere at all. Um, but obviously, for us, Australia is the other side of the world. So that's why we're going to talk about that. That's why we're going to mention that one, because that's as far away as you could possibly get. Um, so yeah, I mean, we've got. Well, certainly off the top of my head, I could tell you about two bands. Well, actually, one of them's a band who's like one person, but he plays 3 different instruments, then puts it all together later. So he's like a band of 3. So I don't know if you've ever seen Mary Poppins, and you've got the one-man band with the thing on his back, and he's doing the mouth organ as well. No, so um, yeah, that's a guy called Mark, and he's down in Australia, and he's the drummer, he's the bass, he's the lead guitar. He basically does everything. I think he does keyboard. I think he does the washing up as well. I don't know, but he's the main man for that. And we've got another band that we get stuff from, which is, I think it's called the Phosphenes. And they're really good, and we get really good stuff from all around, and that's the amazing thing. And we've been so lucky that people have wanted to share it with us as well.
And then also podcast, it is very important for the person to have very good voice.
Mm.
So you have that bass voice.
Well, um, I mean, the thing is, it's just important that people are clear. I mean, I'm no clearer than anybody else. I'm certainly, I can mumble along. People go, what are we on about? Quite a bit, but it's just about projecting. It's just about getting out there and practicing as well. You got to practice. You got to get your point across, and you can't really do that quietly.
So at last, what do you say about the Tuesday's podcast to the people who watches this video from India or Germany or UK or Canada or anywhere? Like,
What would I say about it? Well, no,
yeah,
I'd say, look, the Tuesday show is a show with there's some music. It's from all around, all different types. Some of it's funky, some of it's electronic, some of it's a bit cool, some of it's guy with a guitar, but it's really good stuff. We've had some really good guests on, and a few laughs along the way. So yeah, it's definitely worth a listen. And if you don't like it, fine. If you do like it, great. And if you do like it, share it with others.
male and female singers both.
Sorry, say again.
Female singers too.
Yeah, we got female singers as well. Yeah, so we got. Oh, you're going to ask me for names of people now. Yeah, no, we got there's loads that we've got. I mean, one that stands out, like for example, one that stands out as one of the sort of up and coming, because you get lots of younger guys and girls as well. There's one called Shiraz Hempstock, who's from the UK. And I don't know, she's 18 or 19 now or something, but doing really well. And obviously before COVID happened, doing gigs and bits and pieces. So I think we're going to have to be stuck listening online to our music. Maybe live music isn't quite going to get where it was very soon, but when it does, there's a lot of talent out there.
Wow, you're showing a lot of people's talent at the same time. You're showing your talent too to the world.
Well, that's the thing. I have no musical talent, no musical talent whatsoever. So I am genuinely in awe of the people that we speak to, across the world, because I can't hold it. I can't sing. Well, I can sing, but badly. It's all right if I'm in the car on my own or in the shower, but I can't sing. I can't play an instrument. I can drum on the desk, but that's about it.
Nice. So nice. So at last, do you, have you see you already said you have watched one of my video. What you felt about, and do you have anything to say about my videos?
Right, so I've watched a couple of your videos. I don't really like them. The one thing that is good is the fact that you don't ask the questions that you'd necessarily expect. Okay, so for example, you've had people that are talking about their book, or something that they're producing, or something that you like. It was the obvious question. Okay, what's this about? What's that about? But you've gone into like perhaps a little bit more depth. What have people done before? What's their background? That kind of stuff, which I think is interesting because it tells you more about the person. And I think you get a lot more out of it. So I found it very interesting. You had a guy, actually, I think it was quite a long one. I watched it, and it was I've forgotten his name, but a film production student come film
Yeah,
producer,
yeah.
and yeah, I mean, it there was he had a lot to say, but you're talking about his life as well as what the film industry is like, and that's really interesting.
Okay. So I'll put your audio link, I mean your podcast link in the description of this video.
Yep.
People who will watch this video can get your content and know what exactly your content is about.
Yeah, no, that would be great. And obviously, link up the social media, because if anybody's got any music they want to, they want playing, then get in touch. And I'd ask anybody to get in touch. The one thing that I would be interested in doing with a podcast is maybe do some longer form discussion type stuff. So I'm inspired. I mean, I don't know what. I don't know who inspires you, but certainly I've been inspired by some watching some of your videos, and it'd be quite cool to get some interesting guests on the podcast as well.
Thanks, sir. Thank you so much for giving me your valuable time and explaining me about your podcast and telling about what made you to uh, start this.
No problem. Sai, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. And can I put this video on my YouTube channel, on social media,
Absolutely.
and on internet with your permission?
Yeah, absolutely. No problem at all.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. I'll
Thank
meet you
you.
soon again in the next year.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll speak soon.
Yeah. Take
Thanks.
care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.